Hello, hello. I am Cassie. Welcome to Fitbk Backstage. We are so excited to have you join us today. If you joined us for our class for fitness remedy tonight, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you got you a nice cardio burn. I am just coming down from my class. It's about 30 minutes later, nice and sweaty, still hot, but we have a special guest that I wanted you guys to get to know a little bit about, and his name is the amazing Tyheim Walker.
Hello, hello.
Thank you, Mr. Walker, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Woo.
I'm extremely excited to be here.
Yes, beautiful baby face. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank you. I'm trying.
So Tyheim Walker is the program manager for HCC.
Yes.
And if you don't know, HCC is the nonprofit organization that Fitbk is a program under. So Tyheim will be here today just to give you guys a little information about HCC, some of their programs. And today we're recognizing
World AIDS Day.
Yes, and Tyheim has so much information to give you about World AIDS Day because Fitbk has so many wonderful programs in reference to HIV and AIDS, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's get right into it. You ready, Tyheim?
I'm ready. I'm in the hot seat. Let's go.
He's in the hot seat. So first off, Tyheim is are you a Brooklyn native?
No.
Where
I'm
you
from Westchester, from Terrytown.
Westchester, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt a little southern feel from you, like you
Really?
were from. Yeah, like
Maybe
you
because
came
my
from-
dialect, I can't pronounce all the words correctly.
Really?
So maybe that's why, I don't know.
I'm still sweating. If you see sweat pools, it's only because I had a great workout, and we're still coming down from that. All right. So we're gonna jump right in. Tyheim is the program manager for HCC. Just tell us about HCC. First off, what does HCC stand for?
So HCC stands for Haitian Centers Council, but we also go by Haitian American Community Coalition Incorporated.
And what are some of the programs that you oversee within?
So I oversee the HIV prevention program, the LGBTQ programming, portions of our SAMSHA program, which is substance misuse and mental health, and also hepatitis C testing, and PrEP and PEP as well.
Wow. And you oversee all of those?
It sounds like a lot, but it's not. I could do a little more.
Now, this is just a few of the programs that this organization offers, right?
Yes.
And it's just a multitude of many other things that you're not covering within your
Scope, yes.
scope, right? Okay, so just get into a little bit about, because today is World AIDS Day, we're going to cover that subject
Okay.
completely, all of the information. If you have any questions today on any of the responses that are given, any of the information that Tyheim gives you today, drop those in the comments, ask your question, feel free, and we'll make sure to give you those answers. And also today at the end of this podcast, Tyheim will give you all of the information and contact that you need to reach him and get any of the services that you need for today.
Correct.
Now, first off, Tyheim, becoming a program manager for HCC and the field that you're in, was that something that this field, have you always wanted to be in the field of mental health and HIV/AIDS services, LGBT services? How did you find yourself in coming into this career path?
So this definitely wasn't a choice for me. When I grew up, one of my best friends, when I was around 17 or 18, passed away from the complications of HIV. My ignorance led me to this job because when I would go see her in the hospital and visit her, before I went home, I would literally take all my clothes off, put them in a garbage bag, and throw them in the garbage. Simply because I didn't know what she had or what I was potentially bringing to my family. But I'm an inquisitive person, so it led me to actually do research and find out more about what HIV and AIDS were.
After her death.
After her death.
That sparked your curiosity,
Yes.
kind of, in a lot of ways. So that was very interesting to know because when it came to HIV and AIDS, I remember that when I was growing up, it was something that was considered a cultural disease,
Right.
Or they felt that if you touch someone, you can get it. If they sweat on you, you can get it. If they
Right.
you know, so through saliva. Oh, so many different ways and so many different misunderstandings. And like you said, you know, you had to come home and burn all of your clothes.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Right, not knowing that, and that's a lot. What are some of that's just one of the misconceptions of HIV and AIDS, but there's so many more. Just can you give me a few of those misunderstandings that people may have?
Right. So I guess like now one of like the big misunderstandings is that like mostly black gay men are people who are HIV positive or living with HIV. That's just one of them. Or the fact that, you know, a lot of the preventative medicines are only for gay men. So I think now we've educated the community enough to the point where they know that you can't get HIV from touching or hugging or kissing. It's just a matter of educating them to the point where they understand that everyone has an equal risk of contracting HIV.
And what are your risks of contracting HIV? Or a few of those.
Yeah, so having unprotected sex, sharing needles, a mother can pass it through birth, breastfeeding. So those are some of the main components of contracting HIV.
Wow. So I know that you mentioned that a mother can transfer it to their child as well, right? I think we had doing one of our domestic violence Passion for Life talk series. We had a guest on who's contracted AIDS through her husband.
Right.
And when she was pregnant and gave birth to her daughter had it as well.
Right.
You know, so that was like a major, a big thing for her. And at the time, she had a total misconception as to what it was all about as well. So, you know, that's big.
And I
so
just,
you cannot that.
and I just want to also add, you know, if a woman is living with HIV, you know, instead of having a vaginal birth, they will do a C-section because that will significantly decrease the chances of the baby actually having HIV. But if the child is born with HIV, they are put on ARTs, which is this is where my dialect becomes messed up. Which is basically HIV medications.
Okay.
To prevent the baby from contracting HIV once it becomes older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're saying that the child can still develop HIV. So if the child wasn't born and tested positive, it still can develop within their
No,
age
so
range,
if the child is born and they're not born positive, then they're going to remain negative.
Okay.
But if the child is born and they're born positive, then there are medications, because remember, as a newborn, their immune system is not that strong yet.
Right.
But there are medications that they can take that can wipe out the HIV because they're newly born.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So moving from there, we know that your close friend passed away. And you said the next step was you going out and kind of educating yourself.
Right.
What did you do to educate yourself and find out a little bit more about it?
I would go to libraries, just read, go to school. I grew up in a very conservative household, not religiously conservative, but just like all around conservative, like every other way. So certain things we couldn't read, certain things we couldn't do, so I have to go to the library and go to schools and reading like that. And I walked into a place similar to HTC to get an HIV test, and that's when I really, really started to learn about what HIV was. And it wasn't from school, it wasn't from life experiences, it was from the people I was working with and working for that taught me everything that it is that I know.
So HIV/AIDS is a virus.
Yes.
Right? How does that attack the body or how does that affect the body once you contract it?
Right. So it diminishes your white blood cells, and if you don't know, your white blood cells are the cells in your body that fights off infections. It's pretty much the things that make you stay healthy, that helps you stay healthy. We call them like your warrior cells because they protect you. They're your front line.
That's their front line. That's your soldiers,
right?
Anything come up in the invade, it's like, listen, send them out, send out the troops.
Right. So the way the virus works is it attacks those white blood cells to a point where it weakens your immune system. So let's say, for example, you have 5,000 white blood cells, right? The virus will attack those blood cells, and it could easily wipe out half of them to where you have 2,500. Or if you go untreated, then it could go even lower than that. And once you have those things, it's more easier for you to get the flu, to get sick, and it's harder to get treated once you have pretty much no white blood cells left.
Okay. Wow. So one thing you mentioned, you said that people don't die from the disease, but they die from the complications.
Right.
Right.
And
when you said that, it kind of like resonated in me. Like, wow.
Right.
So just explain that a little bit to us.
So, like, just to backtrack what I said, like, your white blood cells are your soldiers, right? They are your defense system. So when people are diagnosed with having AIDS, right, which is the thing that you get after HIV, and in order to get AIDS, that means your white blood cells have to be below 200, right? And then that's when you're diagnosed as having AIDS. That means your immune system is so weak that it won't be able to fight off any infections or any illnesses that you get. So therefore, if someone has, let's say, pneumonia or the flu or a STI, their body can't fight it off. And if we all know that if you have the flu for an extended period of time, which comes with headache and sweating and coughing and nausea and all those things, you're more likely to pass away quicker. And that's how you die from the complications and not from the actual virus itself. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
Does AIDS stand for autoimmune disease?
Yes.
Right? So which is basically what it is, what you're explaining is that it attacks the immune system.
Right.
Breaks down the immune system to the point where that it has no more defenses.
Exactly.
Right? So, when you hear about, okay, HIV and AIDS, right? Growing up and just the stigmas behind it and the things that you heard behind it, and then when you get older and you educate yourself, or you just educate yourself, period, no matter what age you are, it just sounds a lot more simple. Right?
It's very simple.
It's very simple. And to say, okay, this is an autoimmune disease. This is attacking my immune system, and I have to make sure to keep this immune system up as much as I can keep this up. So that's, that's kind of like the battle. The battle is there in your immune system. So, that was just so, when you broke it down too, just you kind of simplified it.
And I just also want to add, all of you, you guys that are watching, you participate in Fitbk. You're doing a cardio workout, you're doing a Zumba, you're doing an exercise, you're doing all of that. And those things increase your immune system. So that's why it's very important for people who are living with HIV to practice these things.
Yep.
Because, once you get, sick but you're constantly doing these things, it's going to be much harder for you to get sick because you're constantly exercising, you're eating well, you're taking your medications. So I think it's important that you do what you do.
You do what you do. Right. Exactly. Still do what you do. Still be health conscious and, eat the right things. Exercise. Like you said, exercise just, it makes you feel better. Also, the chemical release makes the endorphins make you feel better. You're constantly putting antioxidants and oxygen throughout your body, and a lot of us know that free radicals and a lot of diseases cannot survive in a high antioxidant environment. So it's just so many different elements upon working out and kind of sweating, number one, and challenging your lungs, challenging your heart, and just keeping those muscles nice and strong, because that's exactly what they are. They're muscles. They're organs, but they're muscles as well. So that was a good point, Tyheim.
Thank you.
So have you been tested before?
Yes. So I actually test myself a lot.
Really? Is there a reason for that?
I'm gonna say yes and no.
Okay.
Well, yes, that's a reason for. I'm gonna be very transparent. So like a lot of times, things happen. I have sex.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I work in a field where I would be a hypocrite if I didn't get tested. So there has been times where someone has come to get tested and they're very nervous about getting the test. And I say to them, well, would it help you, like, calm you down a little bit if I took the test with you? And believe it or not, that actually helps some people. I'm all for testing and knowing your status and as frequently as possible.
How old were you when you got your first test?
19.
Ooh.
Yeah, 19.
And so I am ashamed to say that when I got my first test, I want to say I was 41.
Okay.
of 42, and I was here with HCC. There was a free testing van. We were doing like a health fair, and it was a free testing van, and I said, okay, well, let me do it. And it was really easy to do. And I had my results within less than 30 minutes. And believe me, when I got that paper back, I was like, oh my God. I was dancing around. I got my results. Right. So, it's definitely a good feeling to know whether you think you are or you think that you're not. Just having that result and knowing that, okay, I'm negative or I'm positive, whatever it is, that way you know what the next steps are to kind of take. And, at the time when I got my test, I wasn't sexually active at the time, but I still wanted to have that test. And then when I got the test, I'm like, look, there's anybody out there that want to get this nookie.
Right.
I'm like, where's your papers?
Right.
Show me your papers.
So
Show me your papers.
Can I switch this for a second and ask you a question?
Yeah.
How come you never had a test before that?
I think I kind of just felt like I didn't need it. I was with my high school sweetheart from 15 to 28.
Okay.
So that was the only person. And then after 28, 29, that's when I kind of got out there in the world. It was like, oh, wow, started dating. I had no idea.
Right.
And, but I still wasn't very sexually active.
Right.
So, when I knew I was ready to get in sexually active, it's like, okay, let me get this. And then just working here at the organization just made me aware, of the risks and just aware of, just to be tested and know to be tested. So that's kind of where it came from, and that was why I got tested. But I felt good and great that I did.
Okay, so I asked that because I want to talk about something later on, but I'm glad that you said that. We're going to go back to it.
You're going to plug that back in a little bit. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop those in the comments. We'll make sure that we get to those for you. That's what we're here for. So we covered all of the misunderstandings. So what was your first job working with LGBTQ?
So my first job working with LGBTQ people was working with people who were living with HIV and also misusing substances as far as like weed, marijuana, crack cocaine, heroin, and just pretty much helping them get off of those things or helping them use those things to a point where it's not taking over their everyday activities.
That was a nice plug.
Right.
You're like, you don't want to quit? All right, let's figure out how we can work this into your schedule.
That's called harm reduction.
What is it called?
Harm reduction.
Harm reduction.
And then that's what New York State as a whole likes to practice is harm reduction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, harm reduction.
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna slowly help you guys stop harming yourselves. That's how it works.
Right.
And it's crazy because I think that's created because people need tenderness.
Right.
Right? Like sometimes tough love just doesn't work for everyone, right? And sometimes people just need to, wean themselves a certain way or do things a certain way.
Right.
And and then you have those people that's just like a cold turkey.
Right.
Right. So, but that's a great program. Was that you said you work for the Board of Education?
Right. But this was after the Board of Education.
But you were a para and a teacher prior to that.
Yes.
Right. What was your subjects?
English.
English.
Right. So even with my dialect.
He was like, I quit.
Right.
No,
and arts and crafts. So if you guys know me here, I'm always trying to do a party or decorate. Prior to me coming on this, I was putting up the Christmas tree. So, always, I'm very hands-on.
Wow. First off, I haven't heard arts and crafts in so long. They still call that, is that a subject still? They took away so many of the great things for our children. Arts and crafts.
Yes.
I love, you would have been my favorite teacher.
Yeah, so very
That's
artsy.
like the favorite period. Fifth period, it's arts and crafts with Mr. Walker.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about HIV testing. I know that HCC offers home self-testing as well as a mobile testing unit. So just talk a little bit about that.
So we offer HIV testing in multiple capacities, right? We have in-person testing where you can receive your test in as quick as a minute. Right?
Really?
Yes. So we actually advanced from when Cassie first got her test.
Yes, I had 30 minutes. I was in there biting my fingernails like, oh my God.
Right. So now we have the Insti, right, which is short for instant. HIV test, right?
Insti.
Insti, right? Which is what you can get in person when you walk in. Then we also have our mobile health clinic where we go into different neighborhoods within the 5 boroughs, and we'll set up a table and we'll offer free HIV testing to communities that may not always have the access to free HIV testing. And then we also have the at-home HIV self-test kits where we can either mail you a test kit, you could come pick it up, so you could do it in the privacy of your own home, and when you're comfortable and when you're ready to do it. If you need help administering the test, we could either do that with you over the phone, through Zoom, whatever mode that you feel comfortable doing it. So that's one of the ways that we.
So if I called you up and I said, you know what, I want an at-home test, I want to do this in the privacy of my own bathroom, how does this test work?
So this test is the test that you took a few years ago when you took yours. So it's a swab. You swipe the inside of your mouth, your gums, for just once, and you put it into a solution, and it lets you know one line on the C. It should always be one line on the C. Right, that means you're human. That means it actually is recognizing.
It's not no dog saliva.
Right. It won't work on a dog. So if you see one line on the C, that means it is recognizing you as a human. But it's not detecting anything else. It's just detecting that you are an actual human being. But
like, check the box if you're not a robot.
Right. And then there's another line that's right under that, which is a T line. Right. And if there's a line on the C and the T, that means that there was HIV detected in your system. That does not mean you have HIV. That just means there was HIV detected in your system, right? So 2 lines means you are potentially reactive for HIV. 1 line means you're human, and you do not have HIV. There was none detected. So after that test, right, we do what we'll call a confirmatory test, where that confirmatory test actually decides whether or not you are living with HIV.
So the confirmatory test is a step up from the saliva swab.
Right.
How is that?
It's actually through blood.
Okay, so that's a blood test. So
Yes.
Now, does HCC offer that as well?
We offer confirmatory testing, which is a dry blood spot. So after you have the test, that means you'll have to come to the office, because then we will have to do that in office.
Okay.
Because we can't take your blood at your home. We need to do it in a place where it's clean, it's secure, and most importantly, that our staff are safe.
So you also mentioned PEP and PrEP.
Yes.
Right? So I know that we hear that a lot. Just explain to them what PEP and PrEP is all about.
Okay. So PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. It is a pill that is taken once a day to prevent you from contracting HIV. It is best used with condoms, right, and other safer sex practices. PEP is post-exposure prophylaxis, which is a combination of 2 pills that you take after you think you've been exposed to HIV. For PEP, you have up until 48 hours to go to any emergency room in New York City and let them know that, hey, I think I may have come in contact with someone who has HIV. May I please have PEP? And it'll give you a 28-day regimen that you will take every single day for 28 days. And on the 29th day, you will return back to the place where you got the PEP from, and they would do another HIV test. They will also do another STI panel, just to ensure that everything is okay.
Wow. Okay.
I hope I wasn't saying too much.
No, you broke that down very well.
And I know that you Fitbk has a large female base, so I like to equate PrEP as being birth control, right? Because you take birth control every single day to prevent you from getting pregnant, right? And then PEP is Plan B, is what you take after, right? So that's how I like to break it down, because I know it's easier for a lot of people to understand it that way.
So instead of saying, I think that the condom broke and I need to go get a Plan B, or I think that the condom broke and I need to go and get PEP.
Right. So if you're a female and you think the condom broke, you should go get both. Plan B, right? Because you want to prevent your pregnancy. If you don't want to get pregnant, right? And then PEP to prevent you from contracting HIV.
Okay, you hear that, ladies? How about this? Put on 2 condoms.
Definitely don't do that. That's something you don't want to do. We don't recommend doubling up.
Don't choke. Okay,
All right.
no, just kidding.
You don't double
Yeah,
up
you don't double up.
because you have a higher chance of the condom breaking because of the latex rubbing together.
Mm-hmm.
So the heat and the latex rubs together, it would destroy the condoms almost immediately.
Pow, plug.
Yeah,
Yes.
so only one condom.
Okay, only one
Water-based
condom.
lubricants.
Water base.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, and that's another question because I know that they used to say to use a particular type of condom and to not use a certain type of condom.
Right.
Just give us that
So the
information.
best condoms to use are latex condoms, right? We do not recommend anyone to use lambskin condoms because they have pores in them, and the pores are the little holes in it. So the mucous membranes, which some people call the wet or the cream or whatever people call it, those things can get into the penile canal, and the juices, the membranes, have a higher concentration of HIV in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because of the
Because it's the membranes. It's actually the mucus of it.
Okay, so latex,
Latex.
no lambskin. Leave
No
those
glove,
animals
no
alone.
love. Right.
All right. Now we have for all our Fitbk members, and a lot of our Fitbk members are female. At least about 95% of our ladies there. And first off, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for inviting all your extra friends. Our fitness family has really, really grown, and we thank you for joining us every single week. Now, I know that HCC has a lot of programs geared towards women.
Right.
What are some of the programs that they offer towards women? You listening, ladies?
Right.
At HCC.
So we have a testing program that's designed for women, a HIV testing program that's designed for women. You will get tested by a woman. All the questions you have will be answered by a woman, simply because I can't answer those questions. I'm not a man. I'm not a woman, so I won't be able to answer those questions or identify or even relate to some of those questions that you have, right? And then we have our HEALS program, which is healthy engagement and empowerment for ladies and solidarity, right?
Ooh, wait, say that again. HEELS.
Right.
It's an acronym.
Right. Healthy engagement and empowerment for ladies and solidarity, right? So
I like that.
it's a bunch of women of color, who come together and identify other resources that can benefit them in the most, I guess, appropriate way. A lot of times people want to receive services from people who look like them,
Right.
or go to a place that's safe. So if, let's say, for instance, a woman comes in and she goes, hey, I want to know, where can I go for a black OBGYN? We will be able to point her in that right direction.
Okay.
Or if someone comes in and say, hey, I'm looking for, childcare, I want to make sure, but I only want a black woman as a childcare provider, we'll be able to point that lady in the right direction.
Okay.
So that's what HEAL stands for. It's about empowering. We want to empower people to be the best selves that they can be, whether it's financial, employment, mental wellness. It's just all about empowering.
So that there will be workshops that will fall under that as well.
Right. So I guess once COVID dies down,
Bye, COVID.
right.
Could you stay in 2020, please?
Right.
Please.
We will have workshops. We will have mixers. We will have things where ladies can get together and just empower each other and network and build each other up.
And that is one of the essential things too about the Fitbk program, and the fact that we have so many women, is that it's all about building each other up, lifting each other up, letting you know that, okay, today was a bad day, but it's okay. Tomorrow would be a better day, or it's okay if you did not lose 5 pounds this week, or it took you 2 weeks to lose 3 pounds. I don't know. It's just a community. It's
progress is better than completion.
Exactly.
Check out our Be Well mental health segment.
Plug.
Yes.
Oh, and the Be Well mental health. So we was going to get into that because he covers
I skipped
mental health. And mental health has been a major, major issue over the COVID pandemic because so many different things fall within that whole scope of mental health. And it really has no age barrier as well. So HCC has a Be Well program clinic.
Yes.
Right?
So,
because I like, when I say program and clinic are two different things. Clinic just gives it so much more life.
Right.
So just tell us a little bit about that.
So Be Well stands for Brooklyn Empowerment Wellness Center. Be Well, and the purpose of that is for people to become well, to be well. So we offer case social work. I don't want to say social work, but we offer therapy by certified social workers. We have a psychiatrist on hand who provides and prescribes psychotropic medications, psychosocials, psych evaluation, things of those natures. So how that program works is that we go out during outreach, and when we are performing HIV tests or any outreach events, we also assess people in their mental well-being. And we also say, like, hey, if you need someone to talk to, or we just need someone to listen to, come check out our program. And believe it or not, we get a lot of people that way. Hey, do you need someone to talk to? Just a non-judgment, someone who's gonna just sit back, and they could either listen or they could either talk. We go the way that you want to go. And I think that's important.
If you can assist them and guide them in the right direction, you do that.
Right, and then just to go back to like what I said about Hills is receiving services from people that look like you. When you walk in through the doors of HCC, you are going to find someone that looks like you.
Yeah, the diversity. I love the diversity about HCC.
All cultures, ethnicities, all sexual orientations. We are a melting pot of people, and I think that's what makes us unique.
Yeah.
I just want to say something really quickly. About 2 weeks ago, we had a few clients here for a workshop, and one of the clients said to me, like, I really love coming here. It makes me feel so happy. You guys do everything that every other agency do, but you do it with a warm hand. Versus other agencies, they do it with a cold hand because they have to.
Like it's just a job.
Right. And you guys do things because you want to, and you give it out the kindness of your heart. And they said, that's what keeps us coming back. And that almost made me cry. I'm not a crier. But to hear that, it makes me feel good. It makes me know that HCC is making a mark on people. And this was someone who didn't want to come here, who didn't believe that Haitian Centers Council could provide him with the type of services that he needed. Right.
See? And I love when, and a lot of times that comes unexpected, right? When you're putting in that work and you're doing it because you love to do it,
right.
And one thing I know about you is that you like to do your job and go beyond your job. Right. So, to have someone come and confirm, that the job that you're doing is good and it's appreciated and they see it, and it matters, that is kind of like what keeps you going and, and keeps you motivated. And that's one of the things I love about the Fitbk program too, as well, is that sometimes I can touch people and don't even know that I'm even touching that person, and it was one, it happened to me maybe about 2 weeks ago. And, I was trying to figure out this. It was before my little comeback class. And I was trying to figure out, what I'm going to do. And, can I make it through this workout? And, could I do this move without hurting my leg? And I was just trying to figure it out. And then this lady called me named Victoria. I'm going to say her name is Itskaya.
Okay.
I know I said it wrong. But she called me, and she was someone that took my classes in the gym. And I haven't seen her maybe 2 years. And she called me, was like, Cassie, I miss your classes. And this is what you did for me. And it was just completely out of the blue.
Right.
And it was just like, it was like a confirmation to say, okay, keep doing that. You have touched someone. And this is 2 years ago. So when you think sometimes that the work that you do and you put in, is not as relevant as you thought it was, or you're not inspired as you were when you first started it, keep doing that, because people are watching and they're seeing, and they could just be sitting back in the background being inspired, and you don't know that. So do what you do because you love it, and that will reflect and exude off of you, and people will receive that, and that's how they will come and gravitate towards you.
Absolutely.
Right. Anything else you want to talk about before we end? Because you covered it all. I know that we do, HCC does hepatitis C testing also. That was a big deal. I was like, hepatitis C testing.
Yeah, so that's a new service that we offer here, hepatitis C testing. Hepatitis C is one of the leading, infections across the country, right? It was to a point where it was so bad that New York City had to create several task force to address the hepatitis C, I guess, epidemic. But we just want to make sure that everyone is offered a hepatitis C test, especially those who are living with HIV. I guess that's the last thing I want to say about hepatitis. But I also want to mention, because like we said, the participants of Fitbk are predominantly women, right? So women, particularly African American women, are the second highest new infections of HIV in New York City, New York State. So I just want, because remember you had said earlier that you didn't get your first HIV test until you was in your 40s, right? And we are finding that women are pretty much doing the same thing that you did, right? They're not getting tested until they're later in their lives. So just remember that it's important for everyone to get tested, but it's also important for females to get tested, for women to get tested, or people who identify as women to get tested. Because I was in a training a few weeks ago, and a facilitator said, well, someone said they didn't get tested because they were in a monogamous relationship.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. Let's talk about it, yes.
But she also said there's no such thing as a monogamous relationship. There's monogamish because you know what you're doing.
It's the ish.
Right. You know what you're doing, but you don't know what your partner is doing, right?
Yes.
So this goes back to empowering yourself, taking your sexual health into your own hands. And if you remember earlier, I spoke about PrEP, right? So if you take PrEP every single day, you don't have to worry about what your partner's doing because you know at the end of the day, I'm going to be okay because I'm empowering myself by taking PrEP every single day. That's going to prevent me from contracting HIV.
Wait, now. So are you saying that if I'm sexually active and I'm not using protection, but I'm in a so-called monoga-ish relationship,
right?
That I should still get tested?
You should still get tested, definitely. You should still get tested regularly, and you should still also consider using PrEP. Because, like I said, you don't know what your partner is doing.
So that's almost like considering a woman considering to use birth control.
Right.
So you're saying take PrEP as if you're taking a birth control.
Right.
Whether you feel you were exposed or not exposed.
Exactly. And then, and most importantly, is also to remember that even if you're not sexually active, it's still important to take PrEP. Because, as we all know, things happen. Spontaneous things happen. You could meet somebody right now, we here talking, and boom, bam, boom, 4 minutes later, we having sex.
I know.
Right? But
you're
right?
depressed at the bar.
Right.
You in a bathroom.
Exactly. I mean, it happens. That's the reality. It happens. But you also know that, okay, I did this. I don't know what this person has, but I also know I've been taking PrEP every single day, so I'm going to be good. Do I still have to go to the doctors and do a STI screening? Of course. But you're going to be covered when it comes to HIV.
All right, so all you ladies out there and men.
Right. PrEP is for everyone.
PrEP is for everyone. So, if you're just a little extra, a little more spontaneous than others, daily, come on to HCC and get you some PEP. Right. So that way, you're always protected. It's definitely a form of protection. And I was educated today because I didn't know that you can take it in a form as if it was a birth control.
Yes.
Right. So now that comes in a pill form?
It comes in a pill. I wish we had it here so I can show you, but it's definitely a pill. You take it once a day with or without food, a cup of water, a cup of milk, a cup of soda, whatever you drink.
Don't be drinking no dang on soda. Leave that soda alone. Let's rewind that. A cup of water.
cup of water. I forgot where we were. A smoothie.
Because when you say soda, I'm like, what? You drink that?
Yes.
Okay. No. All right.
Yes.
So all of those things you could take that without an empty stomach. just as a daily use.
Right.
You guys, did you get educated today? Woo! It definitely was a pleasure having Tyheim on today. Thank you for your comments. Renee Chanel, great conversation, important information. Thank you, Ms. Chanel, for joining us today. So it's good to know that people are listening and they are getting some of that information. I hope that you did get information today. There are many programs that Tyheim is covering, and that's substance abuse, PEP and PrEP, mental health, HIV testing, Hep C testing, LGBTQ programs as well. So if you want to find out more about those, just reach out to Tyheim. Let them know, Tyheim, what they need to do.
So you can send me a message on Facebook. My name is Tyheim. That's Tyheim. Last name HCC. So that's on Facebook. And then you can also give me a call at 718-940-2200, extension 145. Or you could contact me through email, which is twalker, WALKER, at hccinc.org.
Yes. So, Tyheim, thank you so much for being here with me today and joining me here at Fitbk Backstage. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to say, listen, that thing about you, like, making an impact, that's on me, because I was nervous coming on here. I think I did better on here than I do on my own, little podcast.
Yes.
That I have.
Before we end, we got to plug that one. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Tyheim has his own podcast. He does his own thing, and it's called City Boys. I love the name, first off.
Thank you.
Right? So just tell them a little bit about City Boys.
So City Boys is kind of like a play on The View. It's where me and a bunch of other guys come on and we cover hot topics, which is going on in the world. But then we also add an educational component to it, which is like HIV prevention, mental health, substance use or misuse. Those are the things that we cover. And it's so far it's every other week on Fridays. We are airing one tomorrow morning. That's also covering World AIDS Day. So if you want any additional information, also check that out tomorrow as well.
City Boys will air tomorrow. What time?
I would say by noon.
But where can they find it? Because they can always go back and rewatch it.
So you can find it on Plugged Brooklyn. That's PLUGD Brooklyn on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. You just got plugged. All right. So we hope that you guys tune in tomorrow for City Boys. Yes. I am Cassie and
I am Tyheim.
And this is Fitbk Backstage, and we look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.